This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
I'm just going to say it before we do anything. She's amazing. She's amazing. She has revealed things to me, gave me clarity. I honestly talk about her multiple times during the week since I had a psychic reading with her. There's no way that she could have Googled, searched the stuff that she pulled up. This was a couple of weeks ago. My brain is still trying to process it. She is a certified psychic medium. She's had 3 near-death experiences, which we're going to talk about today. Public speaker, spiritual teacher, author. She's got a great book we're going to also dig into, and it's so great to have her back with us, our professional of the year. Connie Fusella is on the program. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you?
Really good. Really good. And not that a psychic medium needs to have a near-death experience to have a better understanding of the work, the process, all of that. But you've had that. You've talked about 2 of those near-death experiences. We've never really touched upon the third one. Can we look at that today?
Sure, absolutely.
Tell us.
Okay, so the third near-death experience for me happened over, 10 years after the first 2. So, and this was a reaction. All of my near-death experiences were a reaction to medication, either allergic or adverse reaction, some way or another. And this was after I had a surgery, and the next thing you know, as I'm laying there, recuperating in the bed, all of a sudden, I find myself in a bunch of rolling clouds in this beautiful, blue and rolling white clouds. And then as the clouds begin to part, I'm in this beautiful meadow, green, lush grass and beautiful, bright colored flowers and sun golden. It was just amazing. And there were these little children there, I would say about kindergarten age, and a bunch of them. And they grabbed my hands all on either side of me. And then we started to kind of dance in a circle, similar to like a ring around the rosy, when you were little. And we started singing and dancing. And I was singing this song with them that I did not learn on the earth plane. I don't know what language it was, but somehow I knew this song and I was singing and dancing with them. I was so happy. And then all of a sudden, the children stopped and they parted on either side of me and they were looking, out into the distance. And as I followed their gaze, I saw a man walking towards me. Now, I was raised, Roman Catholic. I think I mentioned I went to Catholic school the first, 8 years of my life. So this man that approaches to me looks very much like who I would picture Jesus to look like. So he's got the dark hair and the long beard, and he's wearing, just a plain robe, and he has sandals on, and he has this necklace. It's like a large wooden bead necklace with a wooden cross in front of him. And I just remember as he walked towards me, he walked with his palms out, facing out. I don't know why I just remember that. And he came towards me, and then he asked me, "Do you like it here?" And so, of course, I said, "Oh, I love it here." But I looked around and then I realized that my children weren't there. And at this time, I was a single mom with 2 young children under the age of 6, 2 boys. And I, recognized they weren't there with me. And so he said, excuse me, he said, "Well, it's not their time yet." And so I said, "Oh, okay." And then the children grabbed my hands and we started singing and dancing, going around in a circle again. And then they stopped again. And then Jesus looked at me again. And the most incredible part of this near death experience was the way that he looked at me because his eyes were incredible. They changed colors. It was like looking into an ocean. They were like green and gold and turquoise and blue and brown. And when he looked at me, Steve, it was like it's not like somebody staring at me or somebody, looking through me. The way that he looked at me, I knew, with all of my soul that he knew everything about me and that he loved everything about me. And so I just felt in that gaze like so loved and just so safe. And it was just an incredible feeling. And so he asked me again, do you like it here? And of course, again, I said, I love it here, but where are my children? And he said, well, it's not their time yet. And it's not your time either. You have yet to become who you were meant to be. And with that, I woke up.
Wow.
So, yeah,
It's almost like the things you imagine happen.
yeah,
And I get what you're saying in terms of feeling it as opposed to just in your mind seeing it.
hmm,
There's a certain feeling where you can't deny it. You have been connected, and it doesn't have to be the particular figure that you're referring to.
great.
It could be I did a past life regression about a month ago, and there was somebody that looked at me, and I felt it. Like it was
Yeah,
like, and not the figure you're referring to. It was
right,
just somebody in that past life. And that's my validation for, oh, this stuff is real. There's no
right,
way I would be feeling this connection, emotion, and all of that unless I lived that life. And you wouldn't have
right.
felt it unless you experienced it, as you were potentially leaving this life. Three near-death experiences.
Yes.
What's the common denominator between all three? This one you
Yeah.
described was different than the other ones.
Absolutely. Good question. So they were all very different. The first one being a life review, the second one being, a trip to the tunnel and touching into the glow, and the third one basically being a visit with Jesus in heaven. The common denominator is all of these near-death experiences were very spiritually transformative in that they helped to awaken my natural, mediumistic psychic abilities. So, with the first one, I started having sleep paralysis where,
Uh,
I was literally told you need to raise yourself up, meaning I need to raise my vibration to connect to the other side. The second one is where I started to be curious about the metaphysical world. And that's when I started seeing and hearing again as I came close to people. Then I bought my first deck of tarot cards.
mm,
Now, the third one is where you have yet to become who you were meant to be. The rest of the story is a few weeks later, I received a phone call out of the blue from a lady that was doing a psychic fair in South Florida, and she was looking for tarot card readers. I don't know how she got my number. I had never done a reading because when I bought those cards back in 1991, and this is like 2001 now, I couldn't do anything with them. So I shoved them in a box and never looked at them again. So somehow she calls me and I agree. So this is a Thursday afternoon. The psychic fair is Saturday. And so I agree to this. I go running to my closet. I pull out that box. I look, the tarot cards are there. I come back to the phone. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So Saturday morning rolls along and then reality hits for Connie, right? And I'm getting ready. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is nuts. Like, how did I get myself into this jam? So, my parents named me, really, truly correct. My name is Constance, which means loyal.
uh,
I will never stand anybody up. I commit to something. I'm there for you. So I wasn't going to just back out. But my plan is I'll show up to this place. I'll tell the lady, I can't do this because I've never done a reading. I don't even know how to do it. But I'll serve coffee. I'll sweep the floor, right? I'll do something. So that's my plan. Um, so I show up there. The lady's very flustered. She's trying to organize this. She shoos me over to the end of this long corridor in a room, sits me down, table and chairs. This is where you're going to be. This is where you're going to read. And I was like, Oh, I'm sorry. I said, I have to tell you, I can't do this, and she kind of like gave me the hand, like, like, no, 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 no. I need you to sit there and read. And I was kind of terrified of her. So I said, okay, 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 I'll do it. I'll do it. And, fast forward, a client came in, a lady in her mid 50s. She wanted a reading. I had no idea what I was doing. I nervously took all these cards out. I started putting them down in a random circle, no rhyme or reason. I had no idea what I was doing, sweating, nauseous. And I put all the cards down, 76, without saying a word. And so the lady looked at me and she said, "Are you ever going to say anything?" And I was really just freaking out, right? And I looked down at the cards, and the most amazing thing happened. A shock, like an electric shock, came into the top of my head and kind of went through my body. And as I looked at these piles of cards that I made, on the table, I started to say things. And I said to her, there's something about a secret, a family secret that, got revealed that has to do with somebody passing. I see communications from a lawyer. There's like legal paperwork. And I see a trip like overseas coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then I see this big windfall of money coming to this lady. So I ask her, does any of this make any sense to you? And she says, a couple of weeks ago, I found out I was adopted. And my biological father had passed away in Europe. And his lawyer reached out to me to let me know that I was the sole heir to his estate. So I was like spot on. And I continued to read, and she validated other things. And she left and said it was one of the best readings she ever received. And I ran into the bathroom and threw up. That is literally how I started reading.
Oh my gosh. And talk about being thrown into the game and scoring the touchdown. That was very specific for your first reading. Uh,
Absolutely.
wow. Um, I have to ask, with the
Hmm.
three near-death experiences,
Hmm.
it's often said that you see the light. It's all white, bright. You see the light.
Right.
Did you?
Yeah. So in the first one, I was in a room that was all white, bright. Everything was illuminated. The being that showed me my life review in the book, everything was glowing like white, white, white. The second one through the tunnel was all lit up white, bright light. I was moving towards the bright light and into the glow that my feet sunk into the glow. And then, in the third one, it just was, the clouds were rolling white, but I was in this beautiful, bright space. So there's no sense of time on the other side. And it's almost like everybody, that describes their experiences, everything is very vibrant. Like every color is like intensified. It's just beautiful and bold and bright. It's very, very beautiful.
Mm, wow. Did you feel every single time, all three times, a feeling of near death, but a feeling of comfort, love,
Mhm.
connection?
Yeah. So the first time, I think I was a little, maybe kind of bewildered, right? Where I found myself in this room and I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't scared or anything. I just really didn't know what was going on. And then they, placed the book on my lap and I saw my life I felt, I guess, enlightened is the word I would use in that scenario. The second time through the tunnel, I was excited as I went through the tunnel. I felt the love. I felt like I was going home. I felt like I was going to a place that was familiar to me. So I was looking forward to it as I was moving through the tunnel and getting closer and closer to the bright light.
Mm,
And then the third time, really, I just felt that powerful sensation of all that love, coming, through meeting Jesus and just even with the children. And that I just felt like I just loved being in that place. I felt joy. I felt, light. So it was a really beautiful feelings all the way
Mm.
around.
Were you ever scared?
No, never, never
Mm.
scared.
They say it's also a feeling of coming home.
Yeah.
Did it feel that way?
Yeah, especially the second time, because I knew like I was going towards something that was familiar to me, like I was going home. And so, especially in the second one, I had that feeling like I'm going back to where I belong. I'm going back to the beginning. That's what it, felt like to me.
Mm. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's just a,
Yeah,
once would be enough, but
right.
all
Well, I
three.
didn't get the message the first time.
Okay,
I'm sick.
let's go there. It's many believe that we're here to learn lessons. That's our
Yes,
job here, and that's why many times we're confronted with hardships. There's a lesson in that.
right.
It's not an easy pill to swallow that you got to go through this to learn this,
Right.
potentially move your life forward. But do you believe that?
I absolutely do. And so I write about this. We talked about my book. My book is called You Are So Beautiful, A Unique
Mm.
Perspective into the Soul's Quest for Its Destiny, available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, lots of different countries. It's everywhere. But My spirit team shared with me these concepts called the solitudes, okay? And basically what they are is your attitude toward your soul's true purpose, okay? So we all go through these, and what I write about in my book is, my life, my spiritual journey, my three near-death experiences, but I use my own personal story to show how I navigated through these different soul levels to discover what my true purpose was. And for me, it was to become a psychic medium and being that bridge between the physical and spiritual realms and helping people with their grief.
Hmm.
So the solitudes are five categories, okay? The clear, the confused, the compromised, the committed, and the closed. Okay. So clear being our souls, when we come into our human bodies, know what we're supposed to do, right? We've made a contract, soul contract. And so, but when we inhabit our human bodies, we forget. Like our life takes over, right? And we forget what our true purpose was. Some of us don't. So, for instance, take somebody like Mozart, right? At the age of 4, he was a musical prodigy, right? I mean, he knew from the time he was born, his purpose in life here was to create this beautiful music, and he never deviated from that. So he came into the world clear, he knew his purpose, and he left clear, right? He knew what he was doing, and he did this for his life. Um, then we come into the confused category. It's where people, maybe they haven't figured it out and they haven't figured out that the lessons are truly blessings, trying to steer you on your right path. A lot of the times, the confused are people that take the easy way. For instance, my mom was a secretary. I went to school, I was bright, an A student, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do because I didn't realize yet that I was supposed to be a psychic medium. So nothing else fit for me, right? I just couldn't go anywhere. It didn't make sense. So what do? I became a secretary because why? My mom did that. It was easy. It was familiar. There was no risk. I knew the outcome, right? A lot of the times we do that. We don't go beyond our comfort zone. Or we stay in a job because it pays us a lot of money but we're unhappy, right? We just don't get it. We're confused. Then we have the closed, and I'm giving you little brief examples of each because I know we're short on time. The closed are the people that a lot of the times have issues, whether it's mental issues, physical issues, could be addiction. There's issues, and they're ignoring the signs from the universe. They know
Mm.
everything, their ego, right? They know what's best for them, and they continue to go down a bad path. They continue to be in dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have the compromised. And I was in this place for a while. Okay. That's when, okay, I figured it out. I know what I want to do. but I can't do it yet because I have, for me, I was working another job. I had financial obligations. This other job paid me well. I couldn't leave the job to do this work, right? I had to take care of parents. I had to take care of kids, right? Everyday normal life things, but I couldn't do what I wanted to do because I had other responsibilities. So I was compromised. Okay. And then the last is the committed. And that's the group that's really, really hard to understand. These are a lot of the times the children that come here for a short time, tragic deaths, tragic passings, because they had a soul contract that they honored. They knew they were coming into this life for a short time, maybe to have a difficult life. And these are this category is really the category that tests your faith, right? How could this happen? How could there be a God to take a 2-year-old child away, right? This is where your faith really gets tested. And it's really not until you transition that you really understand the whole soul contract deal, right? But yeah, so those are the 5 categories, and most
Wow.
of us move through all of them. Yeah.
Why is it that some of us know our purpose in life early, but then others are still trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I think it's just your openness, your circumstances, the circumstances that you were born into or raised into. There could be financial constraints, there could be religious constraints, there could be self-doubt, low self-esteem. There's a lot of different factors. You could be in a situation where you are involved with somebody that has the issues that keeps you from fulfilling your true, and I had that in my life as well.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of different reasons for that.
You you're giving me images even to my life. And this is the reason why I asked that last question is I try to relate. I knew what I wanted to do since I was a kid. This was it. And I got flashed just a moment ago of going to my aunt's house where my grandmother would watch me and my sister. And there was a spare room. And my uncle didn't really know him that well, but he had a tape deck and a microphone. And I don't know what he was doing with it, but it would be like, I could have been more than like 7, 8, whatever. And I remember opening the door like, nobody's watching me. I can go in there. And it's just like, oh, it's a microphone. What can I do? Just that passion then. And I forgot about it until you just said that.
Yeah.
And then, but then I'm also thinking, why? Why me? Why did I know then that well, I didn't know I would still be doing this now, but I knew it, early. And I think maybe it was also a diversion from being bullied. Parents got divorced when I was very young, blah, 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 on and on and on. Maybe
Right.
that was a focus that I had something to focus on that I thought was cool at the time. And maybe I don't know the reason. I'm trying to,
Yeah.
figure it out and process
Yeah,
it
your
like we all
soul
are.
knows. Your soul knows and will kind of bring you around and inspire you. But then, like you said, circumstances, things get in the way,
Mm.
obligations, and you go off in a different direction. It'll try to reel you back in.
Yeah.
And that's what I write about. And there's a lot more things that I didn't even realize. And I was told this by my spirit team. As I wrote the book, I started to remember things, right? And things I was like, oh my gosh, it all made sense to me. And that the things that resonated with me as a child, I know now I have a strong connection to either as astrologically, past life experiences. Everything came together like full circle when I
Mm.
wrote this book to put everything in place, like how I went through these different phases of my life, why and why I was attracted to certain things and places and people. And it all made sense.
Wow. Isn't it so joyful when the pieces start coming together and start
Absolutely.
figuring it out,
Yeah. And it
right?
could take a while. I mean, here I am at this age. I just figured it out. Some of the things fell into place like just a year or two ago. I mean, that's why it took me so long to write this book. And that's what I was told by my spirit team. It's like you didn't write your book yet because certain people had to come into your path, certain experience had to happen so you could put all the pieces together.
You didn't write your book because you had to die.
That's right.
In a way, guess what? If that didn't happen 3 times, things might be different. You might have a different view.
Right.
Your path might have gone in a different direction. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing all today. The book, love the title. You are so beautiful. What a, like, when things seem just the way they should be, that's the way that's it. And that title says it all. Psychic readings, connection, all of that. How do we find you?
Website www.meaningfulmessages.info. You can call or text 941-567-0142.
I'm going to end here with something you said to me offline, and we won't go into the detail of it, but you said to me, did you ever think about doing this?
Mhm.
And I did, and I am going to push forward in whatever direction I can because that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's awesome.
That's the way it's supposed to be. And that's my sole purpose.
Right.
I feel I've attained part of it, maybe 75%, the 25% to really take it where it needs to be to help people realize all we're talking about. I'm going to
Right.
work on it. And it's almost like you were reading my mind.
And maybe I was put in your path for just that purpose, to reawaken that dream.
It wasn't a maybe. You were. Love talking with you. Love you. Appreciate you. And we will get together soon.
Yeah. Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Steve.
All right. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.